What's up, explorers? Christopher J. Wesley here, welcoming you to episode 2 of Canvas and Quill. So, I mentioned that this episode is actually going to be about independence, but reflecting a little bit deeper, this is actually a little bit more about desire. See, back in the early 2000s, I was doing a lot of poetry performances, and one day driving home, like I actually remembered the actual part of the street that we were driving down. We were maybe 2 minutes away from home. My wife asks me, I had a poetry event coming up, and my wife asked me what poems was I going to do for my set. And one of the poems that I did is called You People. Now, her response was, you really like that poem a lot, don't you? You do it often. And I didn't really have the words to explain to her why I really liked it, but considering that in America we just celebrated 4th of July, like Independence Day, and that's why I decided to bring this up. So let me put a little context around this. I mean, I talked about it before, all the abandonment issues from being, from my childhood. Um, when I was a teenager, there was one day in particular where my mom, for the first time in my entire life, my mom said, "Oh, you got that from me." Now, at this point, I'm like 15, 16 years old. And prior to that, all I ever heard was, "You're just like your father." And that was never a compliment. So growing up, I always had this desire, this need for validation, to be accepted, for someone to like claim me. And I felt it, that when my mom said those words, "You got that from me," that fed something like deep inside of me. And if you've ever like had this deep desire to be accepted by someone, whether it's a family member or someone that you're interested in romantically, you might have a sense of that feeling when you finally get that person's attention. You feel seen by them. That was what it was. I felt seen. And there was a part of me that understood in that moment, I have to make a choice now, because there's to continue to get that kind of validation, I would have to change the way I behave. I mean, I don't even remember what it was that I did. All I know is, if I decided to go that route, it would require me to like shift the way I behave and the way I think, to try and mold myself into that person that she would continue to claim. And with that realization, that was what became the poem You People. This is that poem. You people. I'm not like any of you people. Across from me, my sister was, I was at the breakfast table, my sister was sitting across from me, and she said, "You are like us." And my mom, at this point, she's pissed off. So, she's claiming that I'm still like her. And they weren't getting the point. So actually, I'm off the poem. I'm just telling you what happened now. So my mom said, "You did get that trait from me, whatever it was that I did right." And at that point, I insisted that not only was I not like anybody in that family, but I was switched at birth, that I'm not even related to them. At this point, my sister was sitting across from me. She got a little upset at that. And she told me, like, you are to my brother. Now, when I was a toddler, I was known for always trying to run away. Like, there are pictures of my mom holding my hand and me visibly like stretching, trying to pull away. So I brought that up. I said, I said, how did I put it? um, I told my sister that I actually was switched at birth. And all those times when I was trying to get away when I was a toddler to go find my real family, I always got caught before I could escape. And things just deteriorated from there. That was the first time that I remember referring to that family as you people, but I clung to that. You know, that poem actually was kind of like my national anthem. It was choosing to create standards for how I was going to be treated. Now, as badly as I wanted to be accepted, I managed to pull away from that, stand back from it, and make it clear that it's not conditional. You don't get to choose me when it suits you and then deny me the rest of the time because I don't do exactly as you think I should. Don't say exactly what you think I should say. And I think that's something that all of us could benefit from right now. You know, there's a lot of noise going on in the world, and some of it's political, some of it is like ideas about who we should be coming from social media. They're just all these different pressures coming from all these different sides. I know people that have like stopped talking to each other, you know, based on just some arbitrary idea, just because they disagreed about it's something that has nothing to do with their actual relationship. And that is really where the idea came from to talk about independence. I think it's important for us to kind of step back from what we're trying to get out of our relationships and kind of create a standard for like, well, what is it that I stand for? What is it that I actually want out of my relationships? And that goes for anything from a friendship to who you're with romantically to relationships with your family members. Like you need to, or I suggest that you really take a step back and look at the things that you desire and start kind of carving out your own idea of what all of this looks like. And since this is Canvas and Quill, this does relate to an artwork. So this is the artwork that came to mind of it. It's called Any Mountaintop. And the idea behind it is this is a Ferris wheel, obviously. It's not something, it's not like actually climbing a mountain. But if you think in terms of a particular leap where you're facing something that's scared. So in this case, you could probably see that there's 2 feet sticking out right here. So there's one person on this Ferris wheel, and that person is by themselves, facing their fear. When I made this, in my mind, they were facing the fear of heights. And to the average bystander, it may not seem like anything, but you know what it takes sometimes to face obstacles in your life that no one else will ever quite get the significance of. And when you do, when you face those things down and you show up anyhow in your authentic self, even though you're scared, even though you know on some level you're denying yourself this thing that you, this attention or whatever that you really desire deep down, that is something to be celebrated. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a public celebration, but I think it does warrant taking some time out in your day, or especially when you're feeling down about yourself, and celebrate the courage it took to make that stand, whatever it is. Because in doing that, you're reaffirming your ability to stand as who you are, where you are, and doing that in a way separates you from people, separates you from some people, but it allows you space for the people who belong in your life, for the situations that belong in your life, gives that space to actually come in to your life. So, something to think about. If you, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So feel free to hit me up either on chat or email if you have it. And I'll catch you here next week for the next episode of Canvas and Quill.